For today's video, we are going to discuss speech act theory and communication, issues, concerns, and perspectives. What is speech act theory?
So, good morning,
Speech act
everyone.
theory
I
can be
am
defined
Ehelina
as the
Lindsay,
idea
a
that
BSN4
language
Social
contains
Studies
meaning
student.
beyond just the
And for today's
definition of the
video, I
words
am
that are
going to
used.
discuss
Language is a
speech
tool
act
to
theory and
perform various
communication
functions
issues,
are also
concerns,
called
and
speech acts.
perspectives.
Speech act theory suggests that the meaning of what we say is influenced by the type of speech it is,
What is
the
speech act
structure of
theory?
the utterance, and the context in which it is used. It also
Speech
explains
act
how
theory can be
speech can
defined
create an
as the
action or
idea that
outcome.
language
This
contains meaning
theory is
beyond just the
part of the
definition
field
of the
of
words that are used.
pragmatics, which is the
Language is
study
a
of
tool
how
to
language
perform
is used
various
in a
functions,
social
also called
context.
speech acts. Speech act theory suggests that the meaning of what we say is influenced by the type of speech it is, the structure of the utterance, and the context in which it is used. It also explains how speech can create an action or outcome. This theory is part of the field of pragmatics, which is the study of how language is used in a social context. A speech act is any utterance that serves a function in communication. For example, speech can be used to make statements such as ask questions, apologize, describe, or persuade, among many other uses. In speech act, words are used to do something, not just to say something. Now, here are some examples of speech act that we use or hear every day. Invitation, refusal, request, greeting, and compliment. John Langshaw Austin was a British philosopher who first introduced speech act theory in his 1959 book on how to do things with words. Now, Austin distinguishes between the two main types of speech act, the performatives and constatives. Performative utterances is something which do not describe anything at all. The utterances in the sentence or in part of sentences are normally considered as having meaning of its own. The feelings, attitudes, emotions, and thoughts of the person performing linguistic act are much of a principal unit here. For example, I now pronounce you husband and wife when uttered by the authorized officiator during a marriage ceremony. Consatives. Constative utterances is something which describes or denotes the situation in relation to the fact of true or false. For example, that books are white and blue. Now, Austin described three main actions related to speech acts, and Searle expanded on this idea. First is locution. Locution refers to the specific words of a verbal or written message. In other words, it is the meaning of what is stated. For example, the baby is crying. The sentence or utterance contains meaningful statement. Second is the elocutionary. Elocutionary is related to the speaker's intention or what the person who is communicating the message wants to have happen. For example, consider this question. Can you open the window? The objective of asking this question is to have the listener open the window. The speaker is not asking if it is possible for the listener to open the window. Instead, their intention goes beyond the literal meaning of the words in order to prompt someone to perform an action. The third one is perlocutionary. Perlocutionary act of speech refers to the effect that the words have on the receiver. When a person hears the statement, "Can you open the window?" they may then execute that request by opening a window. Now I have here a sample statement. Let's examine or let's try to identify which is the locutionary, elocutionary, perlocutionary in the statement. The statement goes like this: I promise to pick you up from the station. Now, what is the locutionary, elocutionary, and perlocutionary in the statement? The statement asserted, I promise to pick you up. This, the statement asserted, I promise to pick you up, which refers to the locution. The act performed by the utterance or the intention pertains to the elocutionary, and the effect of the utterance on the listener, for example, relieved, grateful that you are going to pick me up, that is the perlocutionary. It pertains to the perlocutionary. Speech acts can be classified into five categories, as Searle in Levinson states that classifications are representatives, directives, commissives, expressives, and declarations. Representatives are speech acts that the utterances commit the speaker to the truth of the expressed proposition. The utterances are produced based on the speaker's observation of certain things, then followed by stating the fact or opinion based on the observation. When someone says, "She is beautiful," the speaker can state the sentence based on the fact or just give his or her own opinion about physical condition of a person. It also states what the speaker believes to be the case or not. Statements of fact, assertions, conclusions, and descriptions are all examples of the speakers representing the world as he or she believes it is. For example, another example is when someone says the earth is flat, it represents the speaker's assertions about the earth. The speaker has opinion that the earth is flat. Representative speech act can be noted by some speech acts verbs such as remind, tell, assert, deny, correct, state, guess, predict, report, describe, inform, insist, assure, agree, claim, beliefs, and conclude. Directives. Directives are speech acts that speaker uses to get someone else to do something. These speech acts include requesting, questioning, command, orders, and suggesting. For example, when someone says, "Could you lend me a pencil, please?" The utterance represents the speaker request that the hearer to do something, which is to lend him a pencil. The utterance represents the speaker requests that the hearer to do something, which is to lend him a pencil. Commissives. Commissives are speech acts that the utterances commit the speaker to some future course of action. This includes promising, threatening, offering, refusal, or pledges. For example, when someone says, "I'll be back," represents the speaker promise that he or she will be back. Expressives. Expressives are speech acts that the utterances express a psychological state. These speech acts include These speech acts include thanking, apologizing, welcoming, and congratulating. For example, when someone says, "Don't be shy, my home is your home," The utterance represents the speaker's expression that he/she welcomes someone. And last is the declarations. Declarations are speech acts that the utterances effect immediate changes in the institutional state of affairs and which tend to rely on elaborate extra-linguistic institutions. These speech acts include excommunicating, declaring war, christening, and firing from employment. For example, you are dead to me. Now we also have some criticisms of speech act theory. Although Searle's theory of speech acts had a tremendous influence on functional aspects of pragmatics, it has also received very strong criticism. The first criticism is the function of sentences. Some argue that Austin and Searle based their work principally on their intuitions, focusing exclusively on sentences isolated from the context where they might be used. In this sense, the main contradictions to Searle's suggested typology is the fact that the elocutionary force of a concrete speech act cannot take the form of a sentence as Searle considered it. Rather, researchers suggest that a sentence is a grammatical unit within the formal system of language, whereas the speech act involves a communicative function separate from this. Second criticism is the interactional aspects of conversation. In speech act theory, the hearer is seen as playing a passive role. The elocutionary force of a particular utterance is determined with regard to the linguistic form of the utterance and also introspection as to whether the necessary felicity conditions are fulfilled. Interaction aspects are thus neglected. However, conversation is not just a mere chain of independent illocutionary forces. Rather, speech acts are related to other speech acts with a wider discourse context. Speech act theory, in that it does not consider the function played by utterances in driving conversation, therefore insufficient insufficient in accounting for what actually happens in conversation.